Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another concert review. This is a big one for the summer, the kind of the kickstart to summer for me. I had the pleasure on Saturday to go and see Dead and Company up in Bristow, Virginia, at Jiffy Lube Live, which is a outdoor amphitheater. I've been to the amphitheater one time. I was there in 2018 with my mom to see Van Morrison. Really cool show to see Van, and so I kind of knew the lay of the land a little bit. But like I said, it had been 5 years, so I decided to go up there. And for those of you that don't know, Dead and Company are remnants of the Grateful Dead, currently consisting of Bob Weir and Mickey Hart, the rhythm guitarist and drummer respectively. Mickey was one of two drummers. Bill Kreutzmann, who was the main drummer, Mickey was the percussionist. Bill is not on this tour. He's been with Dead and Company for their last 7 tours or so, because the band itself is about 8 years old. And they released a statement just before the tour started that Bill would not be joining them due to creative differences. So I don't know what the deal is. I think it has to do with the fact that Bill is getting older and does not drum as fast as he once did. And I think they wanted to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. But you also have Jeff Chimeni on the keys. You have Oteil Burbridge on bass, who played for many years with the Allman Brothers Band during their latter incarnation. And you have Jay Lane playing the Billy Kreutzmann parts. Jay has played with Rat Dog, another Grateful Dead offshoot with Bob Weir. He's played in some other Dead-related bands. I believe he was in Primus, if I'm not mistaken. And then, for those of you that watch my channel know, my boy, my, man crush, if you will, John Mayer, taking over the Jerry Garcia vocals and lead guitars. So I've never seen John Mayer in any capacity, and this was a good reason to go because, again, it was the Dead and Company's last tour, their farewell tour. All the guys are involved in other projects, but this will be the last time that they tour as Dead and Company. So, like I said, Bristow, Virginia, Jiffy Lube Live. Again, great sound. The sound was just fantastic. Beautiful night, probably 75 degrees Fahrenheit in Northern Virginia, and a beautiful strawberry moon, full moon, hanging overhead, which kind of made it really, psychedelic and trippy. Actually, the guy that was standing next to me, who had he'd been on a few substances, shall we say, when the moon showed up, I was looking at the moon because it was red, and it was the second set, and so the dude is like just in shock, like he's holding his girlfriend or whatever, and he turns to me, he's like, "Do you see that moon, man?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I see the moon." I'm like, "I'm looking at it before you did," but in hindsight, I wish I would have said, because it was a strawberry moon, it was red. I wish I would have said like, "Yeah, it's a beautiful shade of green," or something like that, to really trip him out. But he was a pretty chill fellow, given the circumstances. But the only issue that I had with the show was the fact that I ended up missing the first 2 songs. I think I got in there when they were playing the song "Mr. Charlie," and part of that was because the traffic was just abysmal. I won't even say the traffic, because I was in line about an hour before the show started, and was stuck. I wasn't moving, and they weren't letting people in the gates. Like, it was just that they were taking their time. There was construction, so I ended up doing a U-turn and parking at a nearby shopping center, and walked about a mile and a half to the venue and back. So my feet were pretty sore, a little bit blistered, but I press on. But anyway, let me get to the music. Bob Weir was an incredible voice. I don't know if anybody watching this that was at that show, if this is just normal. I know Bob has had some struggles with his voice sometimes. I mean, he's 75 years old, thereabouts, and he's in shape. The dude works out all the time. He's always posting stuff about him working out, but his voice sounded great the other night. It was just something. It sounded clean. It was a great sounding voice, and John Mayer, like I said, was taking on a lot of the vocals as well. They did about 50-50 between the two of them. Bob was singing songs like Scarlet Begonias, which has one of my favorite lines where they say them, "Wind in the willow and the tea for two." It's fantastic. And I should also say that I had an extra ticket to the show, and asked around, and I didn't get any bites on it. I was hoping I would have, somebody there, and there were a couple people outside that were wanting to buy tickets, but they looked like they might have been, on a few too many substances for my liking to sell them my ticket and for them to sit right next to me a whole show. So I was more than happy with just burning the ticket and having the little bit of extra wiggle room. Ended up being fine. I don't regret that decision at all. But it was a packed house. Probably, I don't know how many people the venue holds, but there were at least 10,000 people there, I would say. But I mean, again, they sang dead standards. Like I said, Scarlet Begonias, Deal, they did a great version of Deal, Cumberland Blues, Uncle John's Band, which is fantastic. They did, before I got there, they did Mississippi, Uptown Toledo. They did, the classic Drums in Space, and then they went into like a jammy version of Milestones by Miles Davis, very trippy. Really, really cool to hear them kind of get into some like jazz with Milestones. Lots of tour debuts. They did Playing in the Band. One More Saturday Night, which it was a Saturday night, so that was really rocking. They did a version of Dear Prudence, but that they've been, they played Dear Prudence by the Beatles for years and years and years. But that was a tour debut. Like I said, Playing in the Band was a big one. Just a wonderful sound. And then they closed with, after the last track, they came back out and John Mayer picks up the acoustic guitar and they go into Ripple, which I know is my buddy Glenn Kellaway from the Basement's favorite song of all time. And it was just a wonderful experience to hear Ripple live like that. Just a beautiful song. And I mean, John Mayer, I'm gonna fanboy a little bit on John Mayer here. John Mayer, for all that you can say about him, whether you hate his ego, whether you hate the breathy nature of his voice, whether you hate maybe you only know John Mayer as like, Your Body is a Wonderland and Daughters and songs like that from his early career where he was pumping out some radio hits. Even if you take all that stuff away, John Mayer, in my opinion, one of the, I would venture to say, top 10 greatest guitarists of all time. That John Mayer's guitar playing was unbelievable the whole show. Even when he was just doing fills with Bob kind of taking some of the heavy lifting there, John Mayer, whether he was on his acoustic guitar playing Ripple or the electric for the other 15 songs that they played, he can rip a guitar. And I mean, his singing was fantastic too. I love his singing. I have all of John Mayer's CDs, and I could not believe how much that dude could rip into a guitar. I know how good he is, but seeing him live and then showing him on the screen, it was incredible. It was incredible. And like I said, Bob was in great voice. Jeff Chimini hit some killer piano solos, some great boogie woogie style piano solos. Great. Mickey and Jay Lane were really killing it on the drums and the percussion. O'Teal was holding down the fort on the old 5-string bass or 6-string bass, and it was a fantastic show. It was I'm not I would not consider myself a deadhead by any means. I don't even care that much for jam bands. However, if you're able to grab a ticket to Dead & Company, they're about probably a quarter of the way, if not halfway through their tour. I know they've got some big arenas at the end. I think they're going to do Wrigley Field for a couple nights. See Dead & Company. Bob sounded great. He looked great. And Jay Lane really, was really killing it on the drums. And I don't have enough good things to say. It was a great show. And, pretty good crowd. A guy behind me spilled beer and it kind of ended up in my shoe. And I kind of turned around and he was in his own world, so he didn't know what he did. They spilled about 3 or 4 beers and they all came under my seat, but only one ended up in my shoe. again, tons of merch. I did get a poster, not the venue poster, but this beautiful print for the last tour. It's numbered out of 5,000. This is 3144 out of 5,000, and this, I mean, look at this. It's just beautiful. Dead and Company Summer 23. There are all the dates, and you can see Bristow there on the second line, June 3rd. So I am just over the moon that I got to go see. Here's my thumbnail. I'm over the moon. I got to see them, and you know, if Bob Weir ever comes back in my area, I'll definitely go see him. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. It was a great show, and yeah, let me know what you think. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and be good. Take care. We'll talk to you in the next one. Bye now.